Carabao Cup at this stage of the season, already the second round of the competition. How seriously do you treat this competition this season compared to usual?
As I always have done, to be fair, Rob. Obviously I never had the opportunity to experience it last year with Lincoln, but certainly in the previous club, we took every cup competition very, very seriously, and I think if you go into every game with the same mentality, which we try to do, and that's try to win it, regardless of who we're up against, whether we're the favourites or the underdogs. I think that's important from a mentality point of view, and that's what we're trying to get across to the players here. It's a game that is winnable, there's no doubt about it, and I think if you're winning games, it can create a momentum that will probably, hopefully try and take into the next league game.
And I suppose with the carrot on the stick of Liverpool in the next round, that plays a part as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and listen, we haven't discussed that at any time with the players, and we won't, but they're not daft, they're aware of it, if that gives them an extra incentive to get through, then fantastic, great. But it'll be the same for Bradford. They'll know that as well, and they'll see us as an opportunity of obviously getting a tie against the Premier League champions. So it works for both sides from that point of view. But from our point of view, it's just trying to win the game and try to progress to the next round. And if we perform and play to the standards that we want to set ourselves, then we give ourselves a great chance of doing it.
We saw quite a few changes last Tuesday for the trophy game. Because it's early on in the season, are you trying to manage the players' load, and are you going to be doing the same tomorrow?
There will be changes. Whether there's as many changes as we did for the Scunthorpe game, I'm not too sure yet. Obviously, we'll find out where we're at this morning with some of the players. A few stiff bodies, obviously, as you can imagine, because it went up a notch on Saturday in terms of one. There was 3 points to play for, and 2, obviously the standard a team that we came up against. We played against a side who missed out by 1 game to go and play in the championship. So I'm aware of that, but yeah, there will be 1 or 2 changes.
Can you just clear up the Ethan Ross situation? Obviously not been on the bench the last couple of games. Is that to do with the homegrown player situation? Is that why Sam's been getting the nod on the bench?
The Scunthorpe game was down to a little bit of an injury, had a wrist injury, but on Saturday it was purely down to the young player situation. We should be okay from today, because from today Sean has been with us for a year, so as long as Sean's in the squad, then there'll be no issues. Although I'm being told that the actual ruling is potentially being scrapped by the middle of October anyway, so we won't have to worry about it. Not necessarily scrapped, but as long as you've got a player who's been with you for 12 months on your actual squad list and not necessarily your match day list, then I think it doesn't count.
On Bradford, then, they've got a very experienced front line, experienced players, Lee Novak, Clayton Donaldson, amongst others. Just how difficult do you think they're going to be to play tomorrow?
Yeah, they will be. The experienced manager, and they're a team that probably most people fancy to do really, really well in League Two this year. I'd be surprised if they're not in the mix in League Two come the end of the season. So it's going to be a tough game. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And if you even just from a mentality point of view, go into the game slightly less than we did on Saturday, then we'll lose the game.
And I guess for Bradford, it's a similar situation to what you talked about on Friday with Sincil Bank. They're used to having a vociferous, large crowd. And again, that's going to be a situation for your players to get used to in such big surroundings.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not sure if they still do it. You probably know more than me, but obviously they did really well in terms of the season tickets and selling them for a discounted price. And, they're used to getting, like you say, a lot of bums on seats, and it's probably going to go against them. So it's probably going to go against us. I thought our players handled that pretty well on Saturday, and obviously they got a point against Colchester. So I've seen bits of the game, but not all of it. We'll have another proper good look at it this morning. I think it's one of them where again, it'll be a mentality one from both sets of players. It's different because possibly players can relax that a little bit more because there isn't 3 points available. And then, listen, none of us are stupid. We know that what's in front of us if we get the opportunity to perform and win the game.
And fitness-wise, how far are your players away, do you think, from getting to a stage where they're at their peak and they can compete, can easily do the 3 games a week, which we're going to have a lot this season?
Well, I think if you look at October, I think obviously there's 1 free week in October as it stands at this moment in time. If we get through this game, and it's still a big if at the minute, it means that we'll have another game next midweek. And it looks like, obviously, depending on whether you can get through a game as big as that, you could potentially have a month where you play Saturday, Tuesday, the whole way through. So I would imagine coming towards the end of October, there'll be that difference between getting the tone right fitness-wise and doing enough in between the games to overdoing it. So in answer to your question, I think in terms of hitting peak, I genuinely believe it's going to be what teams do in between the games and making sure you manage them. You've got to get that balance between making sure they're prepared from a tactical point of view, but more importantly, prepared from a mental and physical point of view.
And just finally on Liam Bridcut, you said he was close on Saturday. Any chance of being involved?
I wouldn't have thought so. More the weekend if we're going to see Liam return. Hopefully he'll be in with all the players today for the full session. And if he does, and he comes through that pretty well without any problems, then obviously we'll be hoping to get him involved come the weekend.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Matt.
Does the fact that it's Liverpool waiting in the 3rd round affect your selection plans in any way at all?
Not massively, no. The reality is, again, like I say, we're coming up against a side that I think will be very, very competitive and be right up at the top of the division in terms of League Two. So I know it's going to be a difficult game. It's a club that have done certainly very well over the last few years. I remember coming up against them in the final season at Oxford in League One, and they were very good footballing side. So we knew, and we were always going to make sort of 1 or 2 changes, and that will happen because it's the right thing to do. But at the same time, we want to try and win the game. It's as simple as that.
Given the volume of games you've got, are we going to see quite changes for almost every game to try and keep it as fresh as possible?
Yeah, definitely. And I think we'll see that across the board. In most of the divisions, but certainly in League One and League Two, definitely. I think you'll see changes to the team most weeks. So there won't be many teams out there that have the same side through the first 2 months of the season, or even if they did do, after that you'll probably find that they change the team around quite often. We haven't got the biggest squad as you know. So the players that we've got, we do need to look after and try and keep them as fresh as we possibly can.
You've played a few League Two teams already, both in pre-season and last week. Will that help in any way at all? Yeah,
I think so. I do. We've always tried to do the pre-season is try and make it as competitive as we possibly can. I mean, sometimes you can play sides that are much better than yourselves in pre-season and do really, really well and lose the game by a goal or a couple of goals and get pats on the back and going, oh yeah, things are coming together and yeah, looking really well. Or you can, go, right, okay, well, let's try and make it as real as early and as quick as we possibly can for the players. And that Oldham game is a great example of that. The reality is we dominated the game for long periods of the game, but 2 lapses of concentration and we lose the game. So stuff like that, hopefully, experience of that will hopefully stand us in good stead on Tuesday.
We've not seen any of Aaron Lewis so far yet. Has he got an injury?
Yeah, he went to Wales, obviously only playing 45 minutes because of injury prior to the Oldham game in pre-season. We were under the impression, after the discussion that our medical lads had had with the Welsh medical people that he was going to play no longer than 60 minutes. As it happened, he played 90 minutes. Because of that and the result of that, he's got an hamstring injury. And yeah, that's why he wasn't involved on Saturday. Part of the reason he wasn't involved on Saturday. And again, he's still unavailable for tomorrow and potentially unavailable for Saturday as well.
Is that a bit of a blow? And are you a bit disappointed that he played that full game for Wales?
I am, yeah. I mean, we made it very, very clear. Having said that, I've got to say the performance of Alex Bradley at Crewe was positive and very pleasing. Stepping at right back, I thought he did ever so well in that game. He played a game previously in pre-season. I think it was against Scunthorpe, the pre-season game. In that position, he played ever so well. So we have got a little bit of cover there with Alex, and I'd have no problem using Alex if I felt that I needed to use it.
I was going to talk about Alex and some of the other young players in the squad. Once we perhaps got through this busy spell of games, will you assess it and perhaps send some people out on loan like you did last season?
Yeah, it's just getting that balance, just making sure that we've got enough cover. If we can bring in cover in terms of, one or two loans that similar to what TJ did for us last year, just give us numbers and give them an opportunity to experience what it's like at first team level, and then at the same time have the luxury potentially, certainly for the first part of the season up till Christmas, give the likes of Alex the opportunity to get some games under his belt. But what we won't do is we won't put ourselves at risk. So if it looks unlikely that we can get some decent young players and expose them to that environment, then unfortunately, obviously, we'll keep Alex around and try and be as fair to him and expose him as much as we possibly can under the circumstances.
So you played Bradford 3 times at Oxford. What are your memories of those games with a couple of wins and a loss?
Probably remember the loss more than anything, if I'm being honest. Reason being, we were sort of chasing to get into the playoffs. I don't think there's too many games left of the season. We played ever so well, really, really, really well in the game. Charlie White scored a really good header in the game, lost 1-0. Tough place to go, probably due to the fans and everyone getting behind them, so they're not going to have that this time round. The other 2 games we had to play really, really well to win. There were 3 really, really close games and good games. I expect a tough game against a side that literally they'll be going into this game thinking they can win, and it should end up being a good game because of that.
And are you a manager who holds grudges and will want to win that game because you lost going for the playoffs?
No.
Okay.
One, I've got a completely different team now. 2, I'm at a different club. And I think you've got to be really careful about holding grudges because unless you're at a side that's probably going to win 70-80% of your games, you're going to lose games. So if you're not careful, you'll have a little bit of an issue on your hands because you'll have a lot of grudges with a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Michael.